Okay, first we go through the executive summary. First, Malaysia Environmental Impact Assessment (EIA) Act promotes sustainable development by reducing negative environmental effect, such as Section 34A of the Environmental Quality Act require qualified evaluation and EIA report approval. The system includes screening, assessment, public consultation, and monitoring to prevent risk early. Progress in AIA has been made, but sustainable gaps remain.
Required by the Environmental Quality Act 1974, the Environmental Impact Assessment is a vital instrument for environmental management in Malaysia. By forcing project proponents to assess and mitigate potential environmental impacts, it seeks to avoid, mitigate, and control pollution as well as improve environmental quality. While the EIA is well received, problems exist in its effective implementation. Its objective: first, to determine the main problems influencing Malaysia's implementation of environmental impact assessment laws and regulations. Second, to assess how these problems affect the EIA process ability to mitigate adverse environmental effects. Third one, to draw attention to weaknesses in the technical, institutional, and legal aspects of EIA implementation. The fourth is to investigate how public involvement and stakeholder engagement might enhance EIA enforcement. The last one is to present suggestions for improving EIA enforcement's efficiency in support of sustainable project development. Next is problem statement. The effectiveness of EIA is still up for question, despite Malaysia's regulatory standards and guidelines. This is caused by a number of issues such as the quality of EIA studies, difficulties with legal enforcement, capacity building, and project proponents' awareness. The EIA process is further undermined by problems including low stakeholder engagement, a lack of agency coordination, and the credibility of consultants. These issues make it more difficult for Malaysia to achieve sustainable development and efficient environmental management.
So we move to the literature review. At literature review, we have 6 subtopics, which is the first one, legal and institutional framework of EIA in Malaysia. The Environmental Quality Act (EQA) 1974 and the 1987 EIA order require developer in Malaysia to conduct EIAs for certain projects, which the Department of Environmental DOE overseeing regulation and approval. Amended ensure reports are prepared by qualified personnel to maintain their quality. Malaysia federal system allowed states to enact their own EIA law, causing the developing jurisdiction and regulatory challenge. Number 2, strength of EIA enforcement in Malaysia. Malaysia EIA system is comprehensive and preventive, which clear standardized procedure enforced by the Department of Environment. Legal penalty deter non-compliant, ensuring proactive risk management and developer accountability. Number 3, challenges in post-approval monitoring. Post-approval monitoring of EIA in Malaysia face significant challenge due to weak enforcement large caused by limited resource in an inefficient site visit by the Department of Environment DOE. This result in inadequate oversight of whether developer comply with EIA condition, leading to instance of non-compliance. Consequently, environmental degradation can occur despite official project approval, undermining the preventive intent of a EIA system. The shortage of technician staff and funding further hamper effective long-term monitoring and enforcement effort. Number 4 is quality and reliability of EIA report. The quality and reliability of EIA report in Malaysia vary widely, with some lacking through scientific analysis and underestimating environmental risk, or true report must be prepared by qualified professional. Issues such as conflict of interest among consultants can compromise report integrity. This variability affect the effectiveness of EIA process in accurately assessing and mitigating environmental impact. Number 5 is participation and transparency. Public participation in Malaysia EIA process is recognized as essential for transparency, accountability, and community involvement. However, its scope is often limited, with consultation occurring late in the process, reducing meaningful input from the public. Access to information and grievance mechanism are also restricted, which undermines accountability and can lead to social conflict. The lack of clear guideline on the level and timing of public involvement further weakens the effectiveness of participation, impacting the fairness and democratic quality of environmental decision making. The last one is recommendation for enhancing enforcement effectiveness. To improve EIA enforcement in Malaysia, it is important to boost DOE capacities, set stricter standard for EIA report, ensuring independent consultant and encourage early public participation, better information access, harmonized federal and state policy, and also a mix of penalty with cooperative enforcement will also strengthen compliance and effectiveness.
For a method of getting information, we have three methods. First, library research. We review book, journal, essay, and government documents. Focus on the legal and theoretical framework of EIA, including EQA 1974 and the EIA Order 2015. Also, examine past study of EIA, evolve, and the governance. Second, we do online source. We collect update data, report, and guidelines from official sites such as DOE and NREECC. Current issue we were sourced from new portal like The Star, NST, Malaysia Kini, and NGO perspectives like CAM, WWF, Malaysia. Lastly, group discussion. We regular discussion will help to share findings, clarify key points, and provide relevant information.
So the next slide is about result. Firstly is about issue at the areas where several bodies have authority. So the description is about law made by the federal government and by individual states, namely Sabah and Sarawak, may produce similar or specific regulation from Department of Environment et al. 2016. Impact on EIA enforcement is make it confusing leave error without proper EIA supervision and makes it difficult for group to approve and monitor things in different regions. Secondly is issue about few resources for post-approval watching and enforcement. The description is DOE does not have enough resources or capacity to watch over compliance after EIA approval. So the impact on EIA informal is evading mitigation condition is usually not monitored closely. This decrease the value of EIA as an environmental measure. Thirdly is issue about how the EIA work is effective and not blessed. The description is about some EIA report are tailored to obtain approval rather than reporting the important and the data may be altered. So lastly is impact on EIA enforcement causing a lack of proper mitigation effort and damage. So the next slide is about issue failure to be transparent and involves the people. So the description is about report made by EIA are usually secret. The involvement of the populace is minimal or carried out at the 11 hours. So the impact on EIA enforcement is lessened scrutiny and accountability of the general populace, decreasing enforcement capability and permitting the initiation of project with negative effect. Beside that is issue about legal and procedural restriction. Restriction is there are no adequate right for litigation and enforcement. Authorities sometimes find are adequate. So the impact is limit access and participation in the community and reduce motivation for non-compliance. So lastly is about conflict of interest and cooperation brand. The description is about potential cooperation and manipulation by developers and officials in the absence of independent control. So the impact on EIA enforcement is creating misconduct in the process of conducting EIA that result in improper despite environmental harm. So the last of slide for result is about issue of resources and capacity limitation. There is not enough staff and knowledge required to handle the number and complexity of AI project. Impact on AI enforcement is about enforcement and monitoring is a weakness, especially in urban areas undergoing rapid development. Lastly is new legislative improvement. The higher funds and stock work orders emanated in the EQA by the DOE are a force. So the impact on EIA enforcement is likely to make them more enforceable when taken together with improved implementation and resources.
discussion. Malaysia faces many challenges in enforcing the Environmental Impact Assessment or EIA. One big issue is overlap of power between the federal and state government, especially in Sabah and Sarawak. This is cause confused and weak enforcement. The Department of Environmental or DER also doesn't have enough staff and resources to monitor projects after they are approved. Because of that, development can skip important mitigation steps. Some EIA reports are biased because they are more probable than show real environmental impact. Public involvement is also low, which reduces transparency. The fines are weak and it's hard to take allegations against violators. There are also risks of corruption due to lack of independent monitoring. Even though the new law brings high fine and stronger power, success still depends on stronger enforcement and enough resources.
In conclusion, the enforcement of EIA regulation in Malaysia is essential for safeguarding the environment and supporting sustainable development. Despite strong legal backing from the Environmental Quality Act 1974 and EIA Order 1987, implementation is weakened by biased report, conflict of interest, poor review process, and inadequate public participation. A comprehensive strategy is needed, improving institutional capacity, consultant independence, stakeholder engagement, interagency coordination, legal empowerment, strict enforcement, and independent audit. Lastly, EIA success should be measured by overall environmental protection and community involvement, not just procedural compliance. That's all for us. Thank you.